Welcome to episode 8 of BAM Connections Live. I'm Stephanie Mack. Good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I am Stephanie Massman of BAM Connections, and I am so honored to have my guest, Dr. Greg Sanders. Let me read just a little bit about him and let him tell you his pretty amazing story. So Dr. Greg Sanders is the founder of the Max Community, which I am. I'm a founding member of it, and I'll tell you that a little bit later. I'm really excited about that. And he's going to tell the story of how the Max Community was born after significant tragedy struck his family in 2018, including the loss of two much-loved family members. He will also talk about how he started a business to help his daughter, Laurelyn, born with a 4-part congenital heart defect, and who suffered from chronically low energy, but who was the heart and soul of the family and of Dr. Sanders' business. But there's much more to his story of hope, including how the Max Community continues to give hope to others every day. So just really quickly, let me tell you a little bit about what I know about Dr. Greg. I was introduced to him, I would say, about a year ago, and he told me his vision of what the Max Community is, and I was so excited about what he has. He's brilliant. He'll tell you his story. And when he asked me if I wanted to be one of the founding members, I jumped at the chance because I wanted to be part of all of this stuff that he's doing. So, Greg, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today, and tell us a little bit about your story.
Thank you, Stephanie. Well, first of all, welcome to everybody. I don't know what you're doing at this very moment as you're listening in, and we're just honored that you're here. So,
can I stop you for one quick second?
Yeah,
I forgot
sure.
to say. For those of you who want to comment, please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. So when you post your comments, we know who it's coming from. Sorry about that.
Okay. No, that's quite all right. Well, it's my pleasure and honor to be here and talk to you about my story. I think that most of us, if we're in the world of business, have a strong motivation to do what we do that's somehow based on our family and somehow based on the people that we love. So, why did you choose your career? Why did you start this particular business? And for a lot of people, what they're doing now, if they're working from home, which is my case, in your case, Stephanie, many people are sort of migrating from the more traditional office environment and they're working from home. My big motivation for doing that was centered on my daughter, who was, about 21, 22 at that time. And you alluded to the fact that she was born with a heart defect. Mm-hmm. It was actually called tetralogy of Fallot, tetralogy meaning a 4-part condition. Fallot was the doctor who discovered that, if there's this genetic anomaly, it actually produces not one problem with the heart, but 4 different problems with the heart. So imagine starting life with 4 different things kind of going wrong with your heart. In fact, when Laurelyn was born, she was a blue baby, meaning she wasn't getting enough oxygen. So they had to artificially give her oxygen. They rushed her from one hospital to another. In fact, they put her on a helicopter, and my wife had just given birth in Southern Illinois. We were 3.5 hours from St. Louis. 2 hours after she had given birth, I put her in our station wagon, and we drove all the way to the other hospital right after she had given birth, so we could be with our daughter who went through an emergency surgery. So that's kind of how her life started. Oh. And when she got a heart valve transplant and she was becoming healthy and becoming a normal little girl, we were so excited. But, all of her life, she kind of suffered from low energy because she didn't get as much oxygen flow to the rest of her body. And I'm not going to go into her, entire medical condition, but she had just different things. She was a smart girl, but she had problems speaking when she was young. She had a speech therapist. Most of my kids did well in school. She did not. She was slower, but we loved her to death. And what she became was what I call the heart and soul of our family. If there was anybody that always remembered someone's birthday, that always remembered what special thing was going on in someone's family. It was my daughter. So when I retired from the university in 2016, I wanted to start a business that she could participate with me in. So I kind of dragged her along to BNI meetings with me sometimes. Most of the time she didn't want to go. Once every 3 or 4 months, I'd get her to go participate in something. But she kind of said, Dad, can I just be in the background? Can I just do things with my computer and with my phone? And I said, sure, sweetie, because that's why I started this business, which was a digital business card business back then. So she could kind of, help with everything. So that's how it got started. And it was, in 2018, the business was kind of moving along pretty well. I had been at it full time for 2 years. I'd been traveling around the country to various conventions. She rarely went with me, but she was always my cheerleader in the background. In fact, when we had our presidential elections the last couple of times, because our family's kind of into politics and everything, she said, Dad, I want you to run for president of the United States. You would cream those guys. You're so much better than all those guys, whatever it was.
You are.
And I thought, it's like, sweetie, I don't have several $1 million, so I can't even think about it. But just to have someone in your corner like that believes you can do anything that you want to do, that was her. And so then the story took kind of a tragic turn in August of 2018. The day before, I had seen her in the kitchen. We had a brief conversation, and then she said, I'm kind of tired. She went upstairs, and that's not unusual. The next morning, I was on the phone working on my business, and I heard my wife's voice from the room above me, and I could hear her yelling, but I couldn't hear what she said because I was talking to someone. So I paused my conversation, and then I heard her calling down the stairs, Greg, Laurelyn's dead. And how does your mind process something like that, right in the middle of your day? And it's like, what? So I said, hung up the phone. I ran upstairs, and she just kind of slumped off the chair where she had been in the evening. She often stayed up late, and evidently she had what's called a heart arrhythmia, or a, irregular pattern of your heart. And she just passed away very peacefully and just almost instantly. And it was very difficult. We had neighbors come over. We had the coroner and the police people come over. And suddenly our little house was like the focus of the whole neighborhood. And they wanted to know, had she been on drugs or anything else? And I said, no, she's never taken any drugs. She's never smoked cigarettes. None of that stuff. But she has this problem with her heart. So that all kind of checked out. So that was the first thing that happened. And we, the family came over. We had her funeral. And then it's kind of like, well, what do I do now? Do I still do this business, even though she was kind of my partner? And then 2 months to the day after that, we went to Arizona. We had a Brazilian exchange student staying with us, and we went to the Grand Canyon. We said, we want to take Alex, who is an amazing artist, by the way, down to the Grand Canyon. And my son, Dylan, our younger son, he was 22, had been home from college, had just graduated, and he was home watching the house. So it was like on a Sunday evening, and I remember we were at a Mexican restaurant with the rest of the family, and all day long, it's like, where's Dylan? We can't find Dylan. He was supposed to have gone over to my parents' house to eat lunch, which was hours before, and I just started to get this really bad feeling. I just felt something had happened. So I asked my dad to go over to the house and look for him. He looked all through the house, couldn't find him. And then I finally said, can you check around the perimeter of the house, check the property? I just had this feeling. And lo and behold, they found him. He had fallen off the roof of our house, probably intentionally. And then we found a little note where he had done mathematical calculations of how much force would occur to an object falling certain amount of distance and everything. And I'm afraid that he had planned to fall off the roof of his house and our house. And it just like broke our heart. He was smart. He was musical. He was like so friendly, so supportive. In high school, he had counseled another friend who was thinking about taking her own life. She was so depressed. And he counseled her out of that and said, look, you always have a reason to live. And so it's like we couldn't process that event very well. We did find his cell phone, and we found that he had made a series of recordings, which we didn't know. I happened to sort of guess what his 4-digit code was to get into his iPhone. And he had been walking around town and just recording about all of these delusions that he was having. We think that he had schizophrenia, and we were not aware of it. And so I guess part of the reason I'm happy to be on your podcast this morning is that I think there are families that observe maybe unusual behavior on the part of their young people, and they're not picking up on the signs. I asked Dylan sometimes, like, you seem a little off today. What's going on? And he would just say things like, well, I didn't sleep well or whatever. He was always such a good actor, and he put a smile on, and we'd say, okay. But if we had gotten him some help, some medicine, some counseling or something, I'm sure he would be with us today. And it just got me to thinking that, family is so important. We need to have conversations with the people in our family. But then basically I started the Max Community from Easy Card was my digital business card, because I noticed that, like, in the world of business, and well, here's the thing. I didn't know that I wanted to continue. As you can imagine,
I don't think
devastating, right?
Completely.
Yeah, it's devastating. It's like, well, what do you do? So I kind of talked to my family about it. It's like, I'd really like to continue doing this in the honor of Laurelyn and Dylan also, because I think they would have wanted me to continue. And I had the sense that what I was doing was important because it was bringing hope to people. And people say, well, how did you get through that?
Right.
Part of it is my faith. I believe that God has put each of us on this earth to accomplish a particular thing. When my oldest son died in 1991 from leukemia, which is a whole nother story, someone once remarked that it's not really how long you live, it's how brightly your light shines while you're here on earth. And I thought that was certainly true of my oldest son, Darren, at that time, because he was only 10 when he died, but he was in the hospital. Nurses would come by, and the story was, and I believe this, sometimes they would even put their hand on the glass of the window because they could sense this special energy radiating from this little 10-year-old, because he's in there suffering, and people would come in, the nurses would come in to take care of him, and he'd say, and how are you today? And he was just like always so, looking for the welfare of other people. And I got to thinking, it's not how long you live, because none of us are going to live to 200, right? We're all going to die at some point. It's how brightly your light shines while we're here on this earth. So that's kind of the birth of the Max Community. I got to thinking, I didn't get through that circumstance just on my own. Certainly it was faith in God, but we had neighbors, we had people from our church, we had my family. And, it was amazing to me how many people surrounded us in that time of tragedy. And I thought, that's really what all of us need, even when we're not just privately in our own personal lives. We need that in our businesses. We need people who are sort of in our corner. When we're doing well, they're cheering for us. And when we fall down, they're there to pick us up and say, hey, look, I've made mistakes too. And we need that sense of community. And for some reason, the name Max came to me, Max as in maximum. Mm-hmm. And it's like, there's no reason why we should live our lives or run our businesses in a mediocre way. We ought to just do it as best we can. And if we can't do it ourselves, get somebody to help us. And that's really the premise, of the Max Community.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't think I've ever met anybody quite like you, Greg. Like, I literally can't imagine. Like, it's just so heartbreaking. And then I see you and your faith and just still having a positive outlook on life and still wanting to help other people grow. And God, I'm getting kind of really emotional right now. And so why don't you tell people a little bit about how the Max Community works, mm-hmm. and why people should join the Max Community and join our community of the people in the Max. And I see that John Davin is on the call. John, it's because of you that I met Greg, and I'm grateful so much for both of you guys. So,
there he is.
There he is. Hi, John.
I love John.
And thanks for all of you who are contributing and watching the show and supporting us through all of this. And so why don't we tell the audience here what Max is all about, and about your CRM, about all of that.
Yeah, and there's Risa. I just met Risa a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so did I. She's great.
So, to me, the Max Community is not just a support community and a networking community, but it's also a great big thank you from me to all the people that I have learned from, people like John Davin, and Risa Lynch has a wonderful product and company. I have it sitting in my kitchen right now to make my wife and I healthy. And so it's like it's appreciation. And the Max Community, you can learn about it at themaxcommunity.com, right? So the word THE, themaxcommunity.com. I have a little video on there where I explain a little bit about what the community is supposed to do. But what I noticed is that when I retired from the university in 2016, I had been a department chair. I knew how committee meetings work. I knew how to write publications, and I wrote curriculum for classes. I had all that under my belt. And when I got into the world of business, I felt helpless. It's like, I don't know anything that it takes to be successful in the world of business. And so I got started, though. I thought, it's certainly something that people can learn, right? If other people can be successful in the world of business, I can be successful as well, but I don't expect to do it overnight. And I think it was on my 6th CRM when I realized, first of all, I never knew what a CRM was when I started, customer relationship manager. And if you ever gotten an email that was generated with your first name in it, hey, Stephanie, hey, Greg, hey, John, hey, Risa, and then that there's some computer out there that knows your first name and is just throwing it in there. If you've ever gotten an email like that or a text message like that from a bank or whatever, you've been on the receiving end of a CRM, basically an automated communication system. And I didn't know very much about it. I tried one out. I was miserable at it. I tried another one. It wasn't the right fit. I was on my 6th CRM before I found one that I actually loved. So the Max Community has a CRM now. We call it the Max Pro CRM. The website you're looking at, I built on our CRM. It has text messaging in the background. It has emailing. It has e-courses. It's like the whole ball of wax. And Stephanie, I built your website. I
want to talk about that.
Yeah, and some of the people listening today got a message by email or by text message, which came from the Max Pro CRM. And I not only sort of figured that out, but I realized I can actually support a lot of other people with that kind of technology. And that's really what the Max Community is kind of focused on. Yeah, we have great networking. You can see the people there on the screen at one of our meetings. But it's also teaching people how to use these tools, because a lot of people aren't very technical, including me in certain areas, right? And so it's like if we get all the people that are good at technology together with the people that aren't, maybe we can help each other and help all of our businesses to become more profitable, to have, high-end business systems in the background that make your life easier, that help you earn more money, that help you expand your reach to people. So that's really the mission. We have support sessions 4 days a week for our CRM. We have networking. Today is our big weekly networking called Max Team Live. If people want to join, it's like 2:00 Pacific. You can join that. You're almost always there. I love the fact that we have so many faithful supporters of our event. So that's a real quick preview of, what we're trying to do in the Max Community, helping people, but also supporting the technology that they need to make their businesses profitable and successful.
Right. I mean, I forever knew that I have all the greatest tools for, automating follow-up and all that, but I needed something for the funnels and all of that kind of thing. I needed, like today, for those of you who got the text this morning about about this show, it was scheduled last night to go out at 7:00, right? And I can now get the funnels and I get the leads coming to me. And it's it's really important to have a CRM. But the problem is, in the past with CRMs, I had it, but I didn't know how to use it. You know what I mean? And so being a part of the Max Community, you have the support, and they don't just teach you how to use it, but we mastermind, we talk about, other ways that you can be using these CRMs and all the different tools. And it's just such a great community. Mm-hmm. So everybody, today at 2 Pacific, what's the link to go to for the
it's http http://maxteam.us, MAX, the word team.us, and that'll get them there.
So that's at 2:00 today. It's about a 45 minute networking group, and we just kind of get together and have fun. And then tomorrow at 5 p.m. is the BAM Connections networking group. And I know you come and support me on that one, which is a lot of fun. It's fast paced, it's fun, it's interactive. We go into breakout rooms. And that is at bamzoomroom.com. So, but you could register for that one at bamnetworking.com/register. And again, that was built on Greg's CRM. So,
Can I have a quick sales moment? Super, super short.
and I forgot to say about how you were in the book. Is that what you're going to talk about?
Oh, well, no, but that's all right.
Okay.
You want to mention that?
Yeah, Greg and I were actually both in the same book, which is Be a Success Maverick, Volume 3. And so if you enjoyed is not the right word, but if you want to know more about Greg and his story, you can read his chapter. I have a chapter in the book as well. I think I'm page 51. What page are you? What chapter?
I am on 55.
Okay, there you go. So
I'm right after your chapter.
There you go. Be a Success Maverick, Volume 3. I think you can order it on Amazon. So there you go. Now you can say.
So my sales moment, I just wanted to mention. So I was paying $450 for a CRM solution that wasn't working. We have a special. We're just through our pilot phase of our CRM, and we have about 20 people in the pilot program. If anybody needs one, we're going to be selling our $229 CRM for only $129. You get the whole thing for $129 a month. It is much better than the thing I was paying over $400 for about 2 years ago. If anyone is interested, you can get details on our website, themaxcommunity.com. But we just want to support people with whatever technologies they need. And then finally, we have a mobile app called the Max Card, and we're coming out with 2.0 in about 2 weeks. And it's going to be a killer mobile app that's going to work with our CRM. So that's my little commercial. If that technology can be helpful to any people, we'd love to have a conversation with you about that.
I see one Facebook user says, I'm in. So that's exciting. I'm not sure who that is. Erica wants the link. I'm not sure what link you want, Erica. So if you could let us know.
Well, if they just go to the website, they can learn all about how to contact me, the CRM, our meetings, everything's right there on themaxcommunity.com.
There you go, themaxcommunity.com. This has been a wonderful 20 minutes with you, Greg. If there's anything else, any final words before we log off?
Yeah, I would just say that in high school, the advice that my son gave to his friend that was contemplating suicide was, be like a light shining in a dark place. The world needs you. And I think that that's the message to everyone. You've got a special gift to give to the world. Don't hide it under a bushel. Don't do it in a mediocre way. Let that flame blaze brightly. That's all.
Okay, well, we're going to sign off, and thank you so much, Dr. Greg.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.